bald-headed, wig-wearing, corrupt hack Paula Metzler of Penfield Town Court and corrupt hack James P. Mulley Jr. of Penfield Town Court. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, and I have never committed a crime. What I'm holding here in my hand is a Freedom of Information law. Don't be confused that the word I just said is law, because neither one of you repulsive, disgusting, criminal human beings knows anything about the law. This is a Freedom of Information law, and I've attached in this YouTube multiple Freedom of Information law documents where I'm demanding, wait for it, information from Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Dorley, which includes if they have used taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits, fair to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. What I specifically am demanding of each is if they have settled sexual harassment lawsuits. And they've refused to comply with every single FOIL. Every single one. And I'm demanding the new payroll for the District Attorney's Office and Sheriff's Office, and they're refusing. I'm using this instrument. This is the Freedom of Information law. I'm going to send this to you. I'm going to be demanding information from you. What you're going to do, you two corrupt hacks. I already know what you're going to do. So I'm telling you, this hasn't even been filled out yet. What you're going to do is you will refuse, because corruption refuses. I'm going to demand, using this instrument, the Freedom of Information law, a list of defendants in Penfield Town Court before each of you. Every single defendant, since day one, when you're in your little library courtroom. Do you know you're in a library? Do you know you're in that little room in a library? Does it occur to you how pathetic you are that you're in a library? A courtroom inside a library. I'm really trying not to laugh when I say that, because there's nothing funny about this sickening, repulsive descent on my life by you two hacks and this guy. Does his name sound familiar? John P. Lomenzo Jr.? So, I'm going to use this Freedom of Information law. And as I'm telling you this right now, as I make this YouTube, you will refuse. I'm telling you beforehand, this is not even filled out yet. I'm demanding information from you. A list of defendants in Penfield Town Court. I haven't decided on the language yet. So I'm telling you on this YouTube, that I'm demanding a list of defendants to charge in your ruling, because it's a public proceeding. Do you understand what I'm demanding of you in this public proceeding? Do you two hacks understand how the Freedom of Information law works? Because I had to demand 50 plus times from Sheriff Todd Baxter the public employee payroll before I finally received it. Same thing with Sandra Dorley. Even though every single human being at the District Attorney's Office, Sheriff's Office, is a public employee, and I finally have received it. This is the payroll, the Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office. And I read the salary for all 170 employees on YouTube. And I read the salaries for every employee at the District Attorney's Office. This is one of the reasons why they're concocting new crimes for me. And I write Paula Metzler as I make this YouTube. What's my name, Paula Metzler? What's my name, you bald-headed, wig-wearing hack? What's my name, Paula Metzler? Who is Lee LaRoque, Paula Metzler? Honorable Paula C. Metzler. I've showed this to you in previous YouTube. You saw it. She's not on the payroll, Lee LaRoque. It's the payroll. Now, perhaps it's changed. But this is a Deputy Sheriff Investigator with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office assigned to the Criminal Investigation Division. How did you get her name, Paula Metzler? How did you allow her, Lee LaRoque, to come into my residence? She went crazy in here. That's not hyperbole, because of you. Because of you, you disgusting, nauseating, vile, sickening, corrupt hack. They went through my father's dresser upstairs that he gave me from when he was a child in Brooklyn. This is the invasion of my life by you, Paula Metzler, because it is documented. Lee LaRoque, who's not on the payroll. Who's Lee LaRoque? Click reply to this. You're going to see this. And I already know what you two hacks are going to do, because you're going to see the sheriff's office is going to be at my residence tomorrow. This is exactly what you're going to do. Just you use them for intimidation purposes, and I can't be intimidated. It's impossible. Go fuck yourself. So I'm sure you're going to call the sheriff. Any number of reasons. And Paula, I'm not going into your little star chamber just because Regina Harper, my public defender, tells me. I'm not showing up voluntarily. I have no documentation that compels me to be in Penfield Town Court. I have not been in Penfield now 4 weeks. I have no documentation that compels me to be in Penfield Town Court. So whatever you send it to my residence, I don't know. Do you understand what I just told you? You bald-headed, wig-wearing, nauseating fucking hack. Who is Lee LaRoque? You bald-headed, nauseating fucking hack. Did you call Lee LaRoque? Did you and Lee LaRoque have a conversation about how she gets in looking for a hammer? And she exited with my laptop. She has my Chromebook, which I have not received back, and I'm demanding my Chromebook be returned to me. And that means that Lee LaRoque, who you empowered to come into my residence, you bald-headed, sickening, nauseating hack, in all likelihood, was reading my emails and seeing the websites that I visited. This is what you did to me. Proof by affidavit. Where's this affidavit? Click reply and send me the affidavit. Does this affidavit exist, you bald-headed, wig-wearing, nauseating, corrupt hack? Does this affidavit exist? And who is Lee LaRoque? Tell me the answer. So you're going to have to answer when I contact the United States Department of Justice and the Office of Governor Andrew Cuomo. That's just two. It's going to be 100 different individuals and government entities that I'm going to contact. You will have to answer when I contact the United States Department of Justice about where this affidavit is to get them in here. They went crazy in here. When I say that, that's not an exaggeration. Crazy. Papers all over the floor. Keep my papers over here. When I come to YouTube, I have a stack and binders. They took all the papers, threw them all over the floor. My military uniform I wore from the 101st. They took it out of the closet in the spare bedroom. And that dress green uniform that I have not worn since April 14th, 1988 was on the floor. That uniform should never be on the floor, you bald-headed, sickening, nauseating hack, Paula Metzler. This Lee LaRoque went crazy in here. Who is she? I went through every name on here, and you can see this is the way the names are. That's the way every page looks with the names, you bald-headed, corrupt hack. Lee LaRoque is not on here. Special investigator. If Lee LaRoque of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office is empowered to invade my life by you, Paula Metzler, by affidavit, how come she's not on the payroll and where's this affidavit? Put it in PDF and send me this affidavit. What is the United States Department of Justice going to think, Paula Metzler, if this affidavit doesn't exist? Or if you decide to concoct a piece of paper and that's just laughable? Proof by affidavit. Does this affidavit exist, you bald-headed, nauseating, criminal, corrupt hack? Here's John P. Metzler Jr. when I was demanding a list of his cases, and I'm going to say this again for what I just told you so you know. I'm already telling you that you're going to refuse. I'm going to use the Freedom of Information law. I'm going to fill this out. I have not decided on the language yet, because the language has to be precise. I was going to write this and then show it to you and put it in PDF and just tell you to send me a list of the cases. But given how corrupt the public officials are in Monroe County, Todd Baxter, Sandra Doyle, James P. Mulley Jr., Paula Metzler, the language has to be right. So that's why I didn't fill it out yet. And I decided I was coming to you two tonight. So I'm telling you that I'm going to fill this out. I'm going to mail it to you, registered mail return receipt, and also it's in PDF. And using YouTube and emailing it to you is also a valid means of communication. So even though this is not filled out, I'm telling you, prepare a list for me to review of every defendant in Penfield Town Court. It's very simple. The name of the defendant, the charge, and the ruling. Very simple. But that's not going to be simple for you because you're going to each refuse. Because I want to contact these people about their experience in Penfield Town Court. Where's the jury, Junior? Where's the jury, you bald-headed, wig-wearing, nauseating, corrupt hack? Why isn't there a jury in there? Doesn't it bother you as a human being that is supposed to be guided by decency and ethics and honor that you're just sitting up there and pronouncing guilt and innocence? And there is no innocence. Am I right about that? I'm going to guess, because I don't believe in speculation. Everybody that goes into Penfield Town Court is guilty. When was the last time a citizen walked into Penfield Town Court with a charge and was acquitted and walked out? Acquitted by you without a jury. When was the last time that happened? Because I'm confident every single person that goes into Penfield Town Court is adjudicated guilty by you and is deposited in jail or has a criminal record without a jury. Where's your morality? Where's your honor? Where's your decency? Where's your ethics? The arrogance of you two hacks just sit there and just determine guilt or innocence is a disgrace. And you're a disgrace. You're each a total disgrace. I didn't even know Penfield Town Court existed. Even though my ex-girlfriend, Laura Riley, worked at Penfield Public Library. Because I would leave my residence here at 26 Adams Farm Drive. I walk down Penfield Road. I go to Bad Road because I think about Laura. I'd walk in the front door. I don't know. At the end of the hallway is your nauseating fucking Star Chamber Junior and bald-headed Paula. I don't know. Because I've been in a courtroom one time as a defendant in Albany in 1997 when I got a speeding ticket driving down Washington Avenue in the Capitol on my way to work at the Capitol. I went to Albany City Hall in front of the Capitol with an attorney. My friend set me up and it was dismissed. That's it. I didn't suddenly decide to become a criminal. I didn't suddenly lose the ability to make a distinction between legal and illegal. You don't know the difference between legal and illegal. You can't make a distinction between legal and illegal. You're just a pathetic rubber stamp, to use that cliche, for Sandra Dorley and Todd Baxter, the district attorney and sheriff of 1984. That's all you are. You are an assembly line of guilt. When was the last time someone walked out of Penfield Town Court acquitted? When I get this language on here, a list of defendants. And it's going to be a long list, correct? The name, the charge, the ruling. I want to see because I believe. Now, I don't know, so this is a guess. When I guess, I say it's a guess. I believe that everybody is guilty. There's not a single human being that walked in Penfield Town Court without jail time and without a criminal record. Everybody's guilty. So this is going to be filled out. You're going to get it registered mail, return receipt, you two hacks. And you're going to refuse. You're going to refuse, just like John P. Lomenzo Jr. for Forest Grove Court. I'm sure that this 70-year-old stooge thinks that he should be on the Court of Appeals in Albany of the United States Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. I'm sure that this is the way this guy thinks, based on my observance of his behavior in Penfield Town Court. He thinks he's William Rehnquist, this guy, this hack. Does the name Daniel DeLouse III sound familiar? Yes, it does, because you both know Daniel DeLouse III. Daniel DeLouse III is a child rapist in Penfield. And I would ride my bike down 5 Mile Line, and I don't know that when I ride my bike by Annandale Luster, that's where Daniel DeLouse III was observed trying to entice children with candy or some other device to get them into his vehicle because Daniel DeLouse III is a child rapist in Penfield. And he is arrested, and there are legitimate arrests. Just because I'm an innocent man, I don't believe everybody's innocent. Does that name sound familiar? Junior and Paula. Daniel DeLouse III. Daniel DeLouse III is brought to John P. Lomenzo Jr. John P. Lomenzo Jr. has a relationship with Daniel DeLouse II. He knows the family. He doesn't recuse himself from that case. Daniel DeLouse III walks right out of Penfield Town Court, and he's subsequently rearrested again for trying to do the same thing. Rape children. Your former colleague on Penfield Town Court, 70-year-old John P. Lomenzo Jr., is a child rapist protection racket for Daniel DeLouse III. There's a special place in hell for child rapists. There's a special place in hell for you too, Junior and Paula. Here he is again, refused his cases. Here he is again, certified mail. I'm just putting this in the mail, certified mail. And this is my favorite here because he's when he really lost his mind. 70-year-old John P. Lomenzo Jr., the pedophile protection racket, Daniel DeLouse III. Here he is. I call this the Hannibal Lecter. Because rejected, returned to sender. He went Hannibal Lecter on the front of this envelope. The sick hack you're in court with. Criminal contempt, harassment second. What would you think about harassment second, where there is no victim, and criminal contempt for being outside a residence for 30 seconds? Junior, Paula. It's a parking lot next to my residence. These parasites, you know these parasites because they're continuing to concoct charges for me. You can walk through this parking lot, Junior. Your family members and friends, Junior, can walk through this parking lot. You can walk through this parking lot, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Your family and friends, and who the hell would want to be around you as a family member or friend, can walk through this parking lot, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula, not be arrested. I'm the only citizen of 36,000 in Penfield, New York, that'll be arrested for walking through this parking lot. I'm the only citizen out of 200,000 in Monroe County that'll be arrested for walking through this parking lot. I'm the only New Yorker out of 17.9 million that'll be arrested for walking through this parking lot. What do you think about that? That's totally irrelevant to you. Where's my 14th Amendment right to equal protection of laws? And that's a rhetorical question because you're ignorant as far as constitutional civil rights. Have you read the Constitution, the whole document? Have you read the entire United States Constitution? I'll guess the answer to that is no, because hacks don't read. So I come out one day, and the day before I came out, so I'm demanding of this guy, Elliot Roth, who's refusing. See, there he is, Elliot Roth, refusing. And I'm not just sending this to him, one time in an envelope. Here he is again refusing, Elliot Roth refusing again. So we got the envelope. Elliot Roth refuses again because I'm asking him a specific question. Here he is again a certified mail. I'm walking through the parking lot for the 4,000th time. Junior and bald-headed Paula, 4,000 times, just like my neighbors, just like my friends. And this Elliot Roth says to me, "You're going to be arrested." I have no idea what he's talking about. That's because Sheriff Todd Baxter's fanatics, degenerates, sociopaths came and put a camera on this building, a surveillance device. And I finally, after 18 months, have seen the footage, and I'm not committing a crime. He lied about it repeatedly. And when I used the phrase surveillance device, they were calling Lindsey Barron at the Monroe County Office of Mental Health to come to my residence. And your predecessor, John P. Lomenzo Jr., also called her to come to my residence. This guy. I demanded from him the documentation for the Daniel Glass III case. And also, I wrote it, a Freedom of Information law, I demanded a list of his cases. I walked over to Penfield Town Court, the Daniel Glass III documentation that he called defective in the Democrat Chronicle, and a list of his cases. I dropped it off at your little window that looks like it's a window at the DMV, and I went home. I'm there for less than 60 seconds, and this elderly woman, you know who she is, who's your clerk apparently, took it and gave it to Lomenzo. I go for my run. An hour later, I got Lindsey Barron in the Monroe County Office of Mental Health at my house. Just by dropping off a FOIL, Freedom of Information Law is called a FOIL, at your library court window, I get Lindsey Barron from the Monroe County Office of Mental Health coming to my house. I go for my run. I'm coming back down Sanders Farm Drive. I see her walk across to my front lawn with the Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. At that moment, I turn around, I run away, and any part of her. She gets in a deal with the Monroe County Sheriff Office employees. Then I'm running down Willow Pond Way toward Wegmans, and she's yelling at me outside the vehicle. "I just want to talk to you, Chris," over and over and over. And I finally stopped because she was going to follow me in the sheriff's vehicle. And I said, "Leave me alone. Just leave me alone. What are you doing at my residence? I just dropped off a Freedom of Information Law document for this hack Lomenzo, and you're at my residence?" This is how Todd Baxter expends his resources. I drop off a FOIL, and there his employees is at my residence. So this guy that's at my residence with Lindsey Barron is not out doing a job pursuing real criminals. He's driving Lindsey Barron over to my house. Freedom of Information Law. I'm going to say that again because things need to be repeated, especially given your ages. How old are you each? So I have a lot of information on you each. Are you able to function given your ages? I'm going to say this again. I'm going to fill this out when I decide the language. I want a list of every defendant charged in a ruling in Penfield Town Court. It's very simple. Then you send the information to me. You will refuse. And I'm confident that tomorrow morning the sheriff's office is going to be here because I made this YouTube, given the language I'm using to describe you two hacks as well. Comply now. This is coming to you. I'm telling you this is coming to you. And this should be easy to provide. You will refuse. So, tell me, bald-headed Paula and Junior, how it's a crime to walk outside, stand right here, tell a guy in his tractor, nobody owns this land, and walk back to my house. How's that a crime? Because Steve Desmond works at Broccola Tree and Lawn Care, and when I lived here with my ex-girlfriend Laura, there was no grass cutting ever. Ever. And the new way to cut grass is up on a tractor. It's not with a push mower or lawn mower that I used to see my father and grandfather using in Queens and Long Island. It's done with the tractor. And this thing is here at 7 o'clock in the morning. What would you think, bald-headed Paula and Junior, if Bracolo Tree and Lawn Care was at your residence at 7 o'clock in the morning? How would you think about that, Junior and Paula? Todd Baxter used this guy, Steve Desmond. He refused to open his mail. You know why? Because I came outside. I stand on Sanders Farm Drive right here, and then I see Desmond take out his phone because he's been told by the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, get him to come out of the house. That means Desmond met with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. They met with the Bracolo Tree and Lawn employee, because I've said this to him. He has a long, gray beard. This guy is about 70 years old. So the Sheriff's Office met with Steve Desmond, met with the Bracolo Tree and Lawn Care employee, and met with Shannon Meyer, because I talked to her on the phone for an hour, and I don't know if she's writing a warrant for my arrest. For what? For walking through this parking lot, not but anybody else. After the fireworks at Harriswell Park in 2018 and 2019, I went to the fireworks, came back here, sat right here where I am. I looked out the window. Just in the span of 15 minutes, 200 people walked through that parking lot. How many people of these people were arrested? Accusatory instrument for me is walk through the parking lot. It's a coffee stain document. That the defendant, 1440 hours, did knowingly remain unlawfully in and upon the premises 2041 Penfield Road by walking through the parking lot, being told by police and certified mail that he's not allowed on the property. I wasn't told by the police. It's the bankruptcy of Shannon Meyer and Todd Baxter with Monroe County Sheriff's Office. The police. What's that mean? Where's the name? Certified mail. I didn't get anything from certified mail. They don't own anything because Monroe County Office of Real Property Director Timothy Murphy can't confirm these parasites own anything. So this guy here, Junior and bald-headed Paula, Steve Desmond, is told by the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, get him to come out of the house and we're going to descend on him. I'm sitting here. Shannon Meyer runs into my backyard. I look over here, crash right on her face. This hack, Shannon Meyer, and her $67,000 a year salary fell right in her face. Then I hear this pounding on my door. I don't know what that is. I walk through and there are 5 of them at the front door. So we got this one in the back here. Meyer's in the back on her face in my backyard dirt. 5 of them. And then I hear, we just want to talk to you outside. Those 7 words. And that's a lie. I walk outside. They surround me on my front lawn. Handcuffs go on. How is that a crime? Bald-headed Paula Jr. That's criminal contempt second. How is that possibly a crime? I'm 55 years old. I've always known the difference between legal and illegal. 1 speeding ticket in 30 years since I left 101st. Tell me how that's a crime, bald-headed Paula Jr. Such a joke what they're doing to me. I go to the now defunct PW Fitness. What do you think about harassment second without a victim, Junior and bald-headed Paula? When I go to this gym, PW Fitness, it doesn't exist anymore. It went out of business. I'm not surprised. But I would go over there because it was the closest gym. It was closer than Planet Fitness down on Penfield Road. And I would go there too. But this one was closer. And when I would go to the gym, I'd walk in there and I'd think, where is he? And he is Jermaine Benton. Does that name sound familiar, Junior? Because you cut a deal with Jessica Wagner and Jermaine Benton to let him go right out the door. You cut that deal, Junior. Jessica Wagner is no longer employed at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office because I eviscerated her to Sandy Dorley. I don't know why. I'm not saying that I caused her to not be employed, but the payroll I have doesn't have Jessica Wagner's name on it. And I've had YouTubes about her, and I wrote to Sandra Dorley about her. What's going to happen to me should never happen to anyone. Harassment second with no victim. I go to the back of PW Fitness. I'm on the bench press. Up walks to me, Benman, Jermaine Benman. He goes like this. I don't acknowledge him. He loses total control of the gym. He screams when he uses the weights, and he's about to lose total control in front of me. He goes like this. I say to Jermaine L. Benman, Jr., I'll be 30 seconds. I lean back on the machine because I'm on the machine. And I never tell anybody to get off an apparatus at the gym because I don't have instant gratification in my life. I lean on the machine. Benman stands over me. He punches down my head, snapped back violently. Benman begins to walk away. I had to make a decision right away not to respond to Benman's violence by attacking him and bringing him to the ground, which is what I should have done and I can do. And I didn't do it and I should have. A witness called the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and Andrew Reale arrives. Andrew Reale arrives. Andrew Reale is not a stranger. Do you know why Andrew Reale is not a stranger? Because Andrew Reale has been to my residence's parking lot. They've been here 100 times now in my residence. So Andrew Reale knows exactly who I am, and I have had multiple conversations with him. And he's going to concoct crime for me because he knows who I am, and he's thinking, that's Chris Chichester because his parking lot, I'm going to put the screws to him with the concoction of a crime. We go outside, Ben and I. Andrew Reale tells me to wait in the back seat of his vehicle. I'm going to say that again for you, Junior bald-headed Paula. I'm sitting in the back seat of Andrew Reale, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle. Reale walks around to the front with Benton. I'm looking out the front window. And then I'm sitting there thinking, this is not going to be good for me. And then Andrew Allen walks around to the side of the vehicle with this violent thug, Jermaine Benman. I look to my left, inside the Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle of $79,000 Andrew Alley. And Jermaine Benman says to me, I want to press charges against you. And with those 7 words, I'm charged with arrest for second. Sitting in the backseat of Andrew Alley's Monroe County Sheriff's Office vehicle. Who am I harassing, Junior and bald-headed Paula? I've asked Andrew Alley this multiple times. And what I get from him is nothing. Gertrude Stein said there's no there there. And I said this to Andrew Alley. I said to him, Gertrude Stein said there's no there there. And with you, Andrew, there's no there there. And I know you don't know who Gertrude Stein is. And he didn't. Last second, we're not harassing anyone. Being outside my residence for 30 seconds. I have never committed a crime. And that's totally irrelevant to you, corrupt hacks. Using a civilian to get to my house. This guy, a civilian to get to my house. Just remember, Junior and bald-headed Paula, what I'm going to send you. Because you're going to hear from me relentlessly. This is going to be the first one. It's going to be multiple documents that I send you with this one. Of the list of your cases. There are probably about 15 different freedom of information, law documents. A list of your cases. I'm going to say it again. It requires repetition for you both. I can't just say what I'm demanding once. It requires you to hear it over and over and over because of your corruption and age and incompetence. I'm demanding a list of your cases. The defendant, the charge, the ruling, and everybody's going to be guilty. Isn't that right, Junior and bald-headed Paula? Everybody's going to be guilty. What do you think the United States Department of Justice, its employees, will conclude when everybody's guilty in Penfield Town Court? I'm guessing that everybody's guilty. There's not one human being that walks into Penfield Town Court acquitted. When I contact the United States Department of Justice, if, in fact, I do receive the documentation of every defendant, the charge and the ruling, this is what I'm going to say. Everybody's guilty. When I worked on Capitol Hill for 5 years as U.S. House of Representatives and U.S. Senate staffer, I'd ride my bike by the United States Department of Justice. And it is awesome in its appearance, and that is reflective of its power as well. And you deserve the attention of the United States Department of Justice, bald-headed Paula Jr. These parasites that you're allowing to concoct charges. I'm telling them that they don't own this land in Russia. One thing, can I mention his name? She concocted new crimes from it, which I'm also going to tell the United States Department of Justice. I will never come to Penfield Town Court without a subpoena. And then if I get a subpoena, I have to look at it. I'm not coming there voluntarily. I'm not walking in there voluntarily. Click reply and send me a subpoena for any appearance. Why do you think this guy named Rush? Oh, can I mention his name, bald-headed Paul? Am I breaking the law? John P. Lomenzo Jr. writes an order of protection for me to avoid his mom. 50-year-old man living with his mommy, Layla Kumar. I signed an order of protection in handcuffs. And then he writes an order of protection for me to avoid Jermaine Benton, which I refuse to sign. I have one regret in this descent of my life. I signed that order of protection in 2018. To avoid Layla Kumar Shah, even though she lives 200 yards next to me. I had to sign an order of protection. I was concerned about additional charges, but I did not sign the one for Jermaine Benton. This is the sickness of 70-year-old John P. Lomenzo Jr. Didn't ask me one question in Penfield Town Court. Jermaine Benton snaps my head back violently at the gym, and there's John P. Lomenzo Jr. with his order of protection for me to avoid Jermaine Benton. And there's an X that says defendant. I'm the DEF dot. Refused to sign. I'm walking out of Wegmans one day, and here comes Jermaine Benton walking at me in the parking lot. And I screamed at him in the parking lot. Hello, Jermaine. If I would have signed that order of protection, I would have been in violation of it when I walked by this violent thug, Jermaine L. Benton, in the parking lot of Wegmans. You, Paula Metzler, had me in Penfield Town Court in handcuffs, and you had me sign an order of protection to avoid Layla Kumar and A. Shah, who lived less than 200 yards from me. I signed an order of protection in handcuffs. The only reason why I signed that order of protection is because I knew I wasn't coming out of those handcuffs if I refused. And I'm going to continue to contact Layla Kumar and A. Shah. You know why? Because I'm defending myself. And when I contact the United States Department of Justice and the Office of Governor Andrew Cuomo and the Monroe County Legislature and the Democrat and Chronicle, since I'm using their names, they're getting the documentation. So you continue to concoct new crimes for me as I defend myself and exercise my First Amendment right for two people I've never met. I'm at the YMCA on the first floor. I go to this room where I use the heavy bag and a speed bag, and there's a rowing machine. I'm on the rowing machine. I walk in there, stepped onto the rowing machine, start to row. I'm in there 30 seconds. I look up and there's Layla Kumar Shah at the other end of this large room, right near the heavy bed, speed bag, doing whatever the hell what, I don't know. And I'm thinking, why the hell do I have to be in here with this psychopath? And I'm rowing. And I'm rowing for about 15 minutes. And I'm not paying attention to her. And then she starts walking toward me. And as I'm rowing on the rowing machine, at the YMCA, I'm thinking, will you just please walk right by me and leave me alone? Just leave me alone. And Layla Kumar Shah, this woman that I was forced to sign an order of protection for, it's my one mistake in this descent on my life, comes up to the rowing machine. It's Layla Kumar Shah. I'm rowing. She stands in front of me. I'm looking up at her. And she stands in front of me in silence for about 15 seconds. I'm thinking, why is this freak show standing here? Why don't she just walk away and leave me alone? So I say to her loudly, what's my name? You know my name. And Layla Kumar Shah is frightened and startled. She walks over to a YMCA employee. She points at me on the rowing machine. She says to the YMCA employee, because he has a shirt that says YMCA trainer on the back, points at me and says he doesn't belong to the YMCA. And then the YMCA trainer replies to Layla Kumar Shah, I don't know what you're talking about. That's because no one knows what this woman ever was talking about. This is a bankrupt human being. And you should be able to identify a bankrupt human being, Junior and bald-headed Paula, because you're each bankrupt. My ex-girlfriend and I went to Lollipop Farm Humane Society in 2012. We went to Webster. Because Laura and I decided that we wanted to adopt a dog and give a dog a home nobody wanted. Because every dog deserves to have a home. So we were interviewed, and this is an extensive process at Lollipop because they have to give a dog to someone that's going to be responsible and love the dog, because there's a special place in hell with fire that should be all-consuming upon this individual that ever harms the dog. So they interview people at Lollipop to ensure the protection of the dog, and not only that, to make sure the dog is loved. So Laura and I were interviewed at Lollipop, and then we were approved, and we went to the cages, and we were so happy to be there at Lollipop, Laura and I, and there was barking everywhere. And I remember saying to Laura, I don't want to get a barking dog. And she laughed because she expected what I didn't when I said I don't want to get a barking dog, because I was concerned about temperament. So we went to the cages, it's barking everywhere. And Laura says, sure you don't want to get a barking dog? I said, I changed my mind. And we went to the cages, we went by cages, went by about 5 or 6 cages, and there's one guy, a little guy, Shih Tzu, and he's sitting right there, looking right up, staring up at Laura and I. And Laura turned to me and said, he's looking right at you. And so there's my little guy. Please adopt me, Chris and Laura. And it was just a perfect moment. So Laura Riley, who I've known for 30 years, and if there's a human being knows that I've never harassed anybody, it's beautiful Laura Riley. Laura says to me, he's looking right at you. And I looked at Laura, and then Laura and I said, we'd like to bring him back to the gym area and play with him. And Laura and I went in the gym area, and they brought him out. He came running over to us so fast. He's running over to us, jumped around right in front of Laura and I, and we knew right then we adopted him. We signed paperwork, took him home, so we lived in Webster. I'm not telling you this to tell my dog story. I'm telling you this because this has to do with Layla Kumar and Layla Shah. These repulsive, sickening, nauseating, bankrupt, pathetic excuse for human beings that you've empowered to destroy my life, character, and integrity. And Sheriff Todd Baxter, I'm walking my dog behind this residence that has no ownership. Nobody owns that land behind this residence here. It's over here. Nobody owns that land. I'm looking for the documentation that they sent me real quick, because it's not documentation. The documentation that they sent me does not prove land ownership. So what I would do is, Here's two of my neighbors walk through the parking lot right there in color. How come they're not arrested? Accusatory instrument, like I said, I was walking through the parking lot. Junior and bald-headed Paula. My two of my neighbors walked through. How come they weren't arrested? So I take my dog along this property here to get to the land behind my residence that has no ownership. One day, the back window from the shower law firm flies open. This woman is screaming at me. This is the way they are, this repulsive little shack. Screaming. I don't know why this woman is screaming at me. It's not Layla Kumar and Araj. It's some other woman. I've been back to 7 years, 4,000 times. 7 years, 4,000 times walking my dog. 7 years, 4,000 times. His name is Boom Boom. When they told us his name, it was Alex. And Laura laughed because I was a United States Senate staffer on Capitol Hill. I work with Alex Heck. And no dog of mine is going to be named after Alex Heck, the attorney, who can never shut up. So I named it after former WBA lightweight champion Ray Mancini, otherwise known as Boom Boom, because my little guy is champion. So all I'm doing is walking my dog the same way for 7 years, 4,000 times. Junior and bald-headed Paula. Back window from the Shaw law firm. Who the hell are their clients? Flies open. Woman is screaming at me. I don't know why. I come back in. I put my little guy, take his leash off, put him in his little bed that he loves, that my mom and dad bought for me, this beautiful bed for him. And I walk through the parking lot when I was allowed to walk through the parking lot without being arrested. I walk in there to talk to Layla Kumar and Araj Shah, these two parasites. They don't want to talk to me. Even though their employees, if it's employee, is screaming at me. Okay, fine. I come back here. Shortly thereafter, about 30 minutes later, they're pounding on my door. And as I now know, Sheriff Todd backs his employees, and this is why they're animals. And I've said to him that his employees are animals, and I've called him an animal in writing and on YouTube multiple times. This is why employees are animals. This is not an exaggeration. Pounding on my door, ringing the doorbell, pounding and ringing my doorbell. All I'm doing is walking my dog the same way 4,000 times, 7 years. I open it. There's two Monroe County Sheriff Office employees with the animal control employee next to them. So I'm looking at these three stooges. He has a pole in his hand, the animal control employee, and it has a noose on top of it. He weighs less than 15 pounds. This is a Shih Tzu. It's one of my favorite photographs. I picked him up. I sat right here in front of my laptop, sat him, and I clicked the camera, and I took a picture of me and him. This is when my mom and dad were here, and they laughed. What are you doing, Chris? Because I wanted to give them a picture. So, anyway, here I am sitting with my little guy. He's on my lap. And there's two Monroe County Sheriff Office employees standing with animal control and a pole in his hand with a noose on it. I don't have a Doberman pinscher. I don't have a Rottweiler. And there's this vicious confrontation out my front door created by these parasites, Raj and Layla Kumar Shah. All I'm doing is walking my dog the same way 7 years and 4,000 times. And I said to them, you'll have to kill me to take my little guy from me. And they closed the door and left. And I stood there, and I went over to his dog bed that my mom and dad got for me. I picked him up, and I told him, there's no way anybody's ever going to take you away from me. I told him I loved him because people love their dogs. Do you own a dog, Paula, Junior? If you own a dog, I bet you love your dogs. What would you think about the Monroe County Sheriff's Office coming to your residence, demanding your dog, when all you're doing is walking your dog the same way for 7 years and 4,000 times? And I know that's irrelevant to you, because you're Jonestown Kool-Aid drinkers. And when you're a Jonestown Kool-Aid drinker, you can't make a distinction as far as the definition of the truth. The truth is alien to you both. How they get to my residence to concoct a crime for me is my letter to Steve Desmond. You called the Monroe County Sheriff's Office when I came outside for all of 30 seconds to tell you toothless fellow loser Shah and Roth don't own that land. You took your phone out, and immediately there were 6 deputy fascist stooges to my house. The civilian Steve Desmond works for Brock Hollow Tree and Lawn Care. This is the civilian. How often does a sheriff in any municipality in the United States of America use a civilian to get to the home of an innocent man? There's nothing from him when I said to him, because I saw him take out his phone. And I also sent this to Lori and Albert Barcolo, registered mail return receipt where they signed for it. Nothing from it. That's dated June 19, 2019. So, now, Junior and bald-headed Paula, I have your inspiration in front of me for Penfield Town Court. And you know your inspiration, because this man guides your every decision at Penfield Town Court. The hearing is right here, and I'm a little confused about your inspiration here, Junior bald-headed Paula, because he's got this like oddball mustache going here. It's like a little square underneath his nose, your inspiration, and I don't quite get that. And he's got this greaseball haircut here, his part on the side. I mean, I don't get that either. I mean, I've seen your hair, Junior, your gray hair, and I mean, are you parting your hair on the side there with this greaseball part here? Because I don't quite get that. So he's got the little square under his nose. He's got the greaseball haircut with the part on his side here. I mean, he's got this really serious look here, your inspiration, for how you conduct business at the Penfield Town Court in your little library courtroom. You're inside the library. So can you just tell me why you find your inspiration so fascinating and why he guides you through every proceeding at Penfield Town Court? Because I'm confused. And, I know that this is the official symbol of Penfield Town Court, and it's the official symbol of the Mulley County Sheriff's Office, the Attorney's Office. It's right here, too. I'm confused. Just like, your inspiration with that little square he has below his nose and that third-grade child haircut. I don't quite understand this symbol here, Junior and bald-headed Paula. Can you tell me what exactly this is? Because I'm going to have to look at it because I can see myself in this YouTube. I'm going to trace this with my pen, Junior Ball, because I'm confused about this symbol here that you use at Penfield Town Court. That's the same symbol as I've told Sheriff Baxter at the Mulley County Sheriff's Office, and the same symbol at the District Attorney's Office, both at 130 South Plymouth Avenue, 47 South Beach Street in Rochester. It goes like that, and then it goes like that, and I don't get it. I mean, what is this total incoherence, your inspiration at Penfield Town Court? I mean, how did you come up with this at Penfield Town Court? I mean, did you see this in a book somewhere? Is this a symbol that is decades, perhaps centuries old? I mean, does this go all the way back to BC? Because I don't get it. I mean, how come you don't have the American flag there at Penfield Town Court? I mean, I know you don't understand the truth of the American flag, but this is really disturbing what you got going on. Can you send me a memo here at 26 Sanders Farm Drive and just tell me what this is? Because, I don't get it. And then I know you're giving out awards there at Penfield Town Court to yourselves because you like to recognize your own performance there when you're putting the screws to innocent citizens. And I don't get to see this. This is the same award that Sheriff Baxter and Sandra Dorley are giving out. So you're all on the same page, use that cliche, with your awards. And this is the clasp of the Iron Cross. See, he's got this big bird up here. And then again, with this total incoherence, like it goes like that and goes like that. And it says 1939 on here. And are you planning to invade Poland on September 1st, 1939? Is that why you got 1939 on here? Because it's 2020. So I don't know why you got this big bird up here. And again, total incoherence where it goes like that and goes like that. And, 1939 on here. Because, it's 81 years late here. So can you tell me what this clasp in the Iron Cross is? Because I didn't get any answers from Sheriff Baxter about that Junior bald-headed Paul. And this is the Grand Cross of the Iron Cross. See, now, the word cross was used twice in that. I'm confused about that. This is a big black medal that you have there, Penfield Town Court Junior bald-headed Paula, just like Sheriff Baxter has. I've told him. I don't understand. Is it called, and when it's not called the Grand Cross of the Iron Cross, I mean, you just refer to it as the big black medal. Let's give the big black medal to that guy. Because, it's got the thing going here, this total incoherence again. And I don't get it. I mean, do you wear this around your neck? Or something? I mean, is this like I wear a St. Christopher medal? I mean, I can't tell. Maybe this is the magnified, 5,000 times, and this is just like a little thing. But do you wear this around your neck, or I don't understand. I mean, is it really this big? I mean, do you have like a chain around your neck, and you put the Grand Cross and the Iron Cross around your neck, and then you walk around in Penfield Town Court with it? Let me know, how you doing with that. And this one here, this is the final one. This is the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross. again, cross is used twice. So I'm not getting that bald-headed Paula Jr. So and look, I mean, you see how really big that is right there, and it's got two swords up here, and it says 1939 again right here. I mean, are you both going to be driving tanks into Poland tomorrow? Let me know about that because I'm not getting these awards here that you're giving out to each other. Paula, you really need to do something, with your hair here. Because, here you are, honey. And you got a forehead like a drive-in movie theater here, honey. I mean, you got nothing going on there. So, this is what you look like when you take your wig off. And I can understand, why you're not getting any action, because, this is the way you look, when you take your wig off, honey. So, you really you need to really work on, your personal life there. And perhaps you get a hair transplant or something, okay? And Paula, Leela Roken, she came in, he was wearing these blue gloves. This is where she left these behind when she tore my residence apart with the search warrant. This is what she was wearing. They were right over there on the floor. This is what you're doing to me. I'm going to make photographs of these when I contact the United States Department of Justice about what you're doing to me. Sociopath, superficially attractive, messed up history, pathological liar. Superficially attractive doesn't apply to either one of you because I've seen them both. Messed up history, pathological liar, that's you. A sociopath. A sociopath. So, now, what you need to remember, Junior and Paula, is what I'm telling you here about the Freedom of Information Law that I'm going to send you. Do you understand as I'm looking around for one other document here so I can tell you what you need to send to me? And what you need to send to me, and I found it, to remind you again. It's not enough to say something once to each of you. You have to have it pounded in to the disease that is your brains. Do you understand? I'm going to be demanding a list of the defendant, the charge, and the ruling. And everybody's guilty in Penfield Town Court. Isn't that right, Junior and Paul? Everybody's guilty. What do you think the United States Department of Justice and its employees will conclude when everybody that walks into Penfield Town Court is guilty? That's what I believe. Now, I don't know. That is a guess, but I believe it's an educated guess based on my experience in Repulsive Star Chamber, that everybody's guilty. My neighbor, who I've known for the 8 years that I've lived here, will be one of the names for John P. Lomenzo Jr. My neighbor, knowing somebody for 8 years like I have known him, is an outstanding human being. I think of him like a brother, even though I do have a brother of my own. But I think of him the same way because he has that heart. He's a neighbor everybody would want to have. And he is truly a terrific friend. I'm so glad he's my friend. He had to go to Penfield Town Court in front of John P. Lomenzo Jr. And he told me about his case, and I'm not going to get into it here. He uses language to describe John P. Lomenzo Jr. that I can't repeat here. He is consumed by hatred for this man, and I am too. I have to hesitate to say that, but I believe in the truth, and I despise John P. Lomenzo Jr. So does my neighbor. Sometimes when I'm thinking in life, do I really have this correct? Should I be thinking this way? Is this the observation I should have? I'll talk to somebody else that has a similar experience. My neighbor despises John P. Lomenzo as much as I do. And we have similar stories, too, about how he didn't show any interest in the facts of the case, and he's just there to rule you guilty, just like you two acts. Prepare that list of defendants. You're going to get this tomorrow morning when you get in, and you're going to call the Monroe County Sheriff's Office to my house when you get this. Good. I hope to hear pounding on my door. My name is Christopher Chichester. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, and I have never committed a crime.